So we have the end by the headers all set to go. We want to do the back part, and then we'll do the connection between the back part and the header. The back part is our Borla ProXS, which is a dual with a single. You can put this either way, so it's either dual in, single out, or single in and dual out. We're using dual in and single out. And we have, this is 304 stainless. These connectors, which have bungs for O2 sensors, are 304 stainless. They slip over this, and then we have our catalytic converter, which will go into the other end. And this gives us a O2 port and an O2 port. One before it goes into the cat, one when it comes out. And this will all connect together to give us the front piece. What I plan on doing is putting a V-band. We'll put a V-band on this end, and then there'll be a V-band that connects the back end, which is the cat and the muffler, to the front end, which is the down tube from the header with the flex pipe. Borla is 304 stainless, and the connector is 304 stainless. This is 416 stainless, I'm pretty sure. And it looks like they MIG welded it at the factory, which is not unusual to do. A lot of muffler shops MIG weld, especially with the 416. But we're going to be doing the 416 to 304, and we'll be using 309 ER309L to do this, because it is good for dissimilar stainlesses or stainless to steel. Welding sections together, you want to think ahead and or try ahead about all the pieces you're going to use to see if one isn't going to get in the way of welding the other one. So you want to do the sequence so that you can easily weld all pieces. One of the issues we have here, as you can see when we cut this, one end is longer, one end is shorter. The end that's short near the bung has a slight oval to it. It's raised up, it's not round. Now the rest of this goes on pretty good, but because of that it's too tight. I can't get it on. So one option is to heat this up, and hopefully that'll be enough to slide it on, and we'll probably do that as well. We tried putting it into vices and squeezing it in various ways. I even used vice clamps like this. The problem is that when you do that, you still end up, you're distorting one spot to try and round another spot. So I do have a exhaust pipe expander. Now stainless, it's very hard to expand stainless. I guess you could possibly do it, but I've got this as tight as I can. But more importantly, it gave me a nice round section. And then this one piece right here that was sticking up, I was able to pound on with a hammer to round it down. So this making the entire pipe all the way around more of a circle instead of a section with a little up slant here that won't fit on an oval. Pipe expander with a breaker bar. I got as tight as I could, and then I took a hammer and tapped all the way around to ease any tension. Then I tightened it a little bit more and did that a couple times. Don't know if it was stretching it, but I was trying to relieve any stress so that when I unfastened it, it would be in the round shape. And that seems to have worked because I've got one on. I'll put the other one on. I'm going to weld the one on completely and then put the other one on, or do I want to have both on and start welding? Because I could go back and forth with the tacks. Both tapped on. I have the angles on both the same. Have them inserted just to a little bit inside, so there's room for this to come through and protrude even with threads. On both sides I did the same. Clean everything again, and then I'll put solar flex on the inside. These are tight fits. I mean, I used just got them on, and then I used a rubber mallet to tap them down. So it's a nice, really tight fit. So I should be able to get a good weld. We're connecting the one end, the muffler cat end, to the downpipe header end. And this is for a 2-inch pipe. Now we could put the 2-inch in here, weld that on, and then weld this to that. Or get another V-band, but if we get the larger V-band for this, then it won't fit on the 2-inch pipe on the other end. So I think what I'm going to do is just put a small piece of 2-inch in here, just enough for it to hold, and then I'll weld all three together at once. It's not really necessary to use all the power equipment. This is our 2-inch stainless steel pipe. We got a bimetal hacksaw blade in a vise. And we were able to saw it to another piece doing just that. Got a nice edge on it. Very little cleanup in 1 minute and 45 seconds. You figure by the time you hook up your equipment, your power equipment, and do the saw, and then clean up your power equipment, put it away, you could have been done with a handsaw and a little bit of good old-fashioned work. Ended up cutting 2 pieces of stainless, and there's almost no cleanup on the pieces. Nice edges, relatively speaking, compared to power equipment. And there's no cleanup anywhere else. There aren't sweepings. Well, there's a little bit, but I mean, it's not like you have when you have abrasive grit flying everywhere, or all the other methods you can use. And that's a machine fit. That's part of this is underneath this. I actually had to put this on my vise, on the flat part of my vise, and then I hammered this with a rubber mallet. The fit was that nice and tight until it matched up to the machined out portion. Now, this is all cleaned up where I'm going to weld. The weld is only going to be right here. All of this, though, I've cleaned the outside and the inside, is going to go inside this. I'm going to push it inside like this. So there's that much inside. And then I'll weld this to this and this to this at the same time. So I'll just put a nice weld in there all the way around. I may do it in like 2 welds. Build that up and just make it a solid piece. So I'm trying to get comfortable here, get this set up. Got this at a nice height. Got magnets. This is on the metal. And I can practice a little bit. Works. I've already moved it a couple times, trying to find a position where I really feel comfortable. So I've made numerous tack welds around, maybe about 1/2 inch around in each part. Still seems to be flat on the metal surface. I don't think I warped it. If you notice, most of these tack welds look pretty good as far as heat zone and no discoloration. This one, I have a large discoloration. It's not just because the area of weld. I inadvertently, when I got done, I started removing the argon gas. I didn't let it completely cool down with the argon gas on it. I didn't wait the full time lapse that I had set for the argon. Mistake. So now I'll go and do the other one. Washed all the areas I tacked, and then cleaned it with alcohol again, acetone. Excuse me, cleaned it with acetone. And it was yesterday since I cleaned this pipe, so I cleaned all this with acetone again as well. And then I put solar flux on the inside here. There you can see it. Coated that. So now I'm going to weld all around here. Again, I position myself so that should be comfortable. Can rest my hand on this, and I'm at a nice comfortable height, and I can work around a little bit at a time, and that's the key, is to take your time. The pipe pressed into the V-band is a machine fit. Like I said, I had to tap it in with a rubber mallet just to get it in there. It's nice and tight. And now that I have tacks all the way around, I'm really never worried about, I'm not worried about this, I'm not worried about that seal in there leaking or even coming loose, because I've got the tacks all the way around it every 1/2 inch. So now my main concern is sealing this. So if I go all the way around that and incorporate, I'm basically welding the catalytic converter to the pipe that's already welded to the V-band, the tubing, stainless tubing. And so I'm going to be sealing all that, and as part of that I'm going to capture these tack welds, and I may capture a little bit of the V-band, but I'm not really worried about welding the cat converter to the V-band itself. Pulse and Hzxvogen to weld around the pieces here, and most of it I could get to, and I had the long extension on the back of the TIG torch. But now I put the short extension on, so it'll allow me to get up into here behind this, so I can get this little section. Where the solar flux appears to have done its job until where the heat came through. And fairly happy with these welds. Not perfect, but again, using autogenous here. But basically, if this had been just a regular muffler, we would have used a clamp. So welding these pieces on slip tight fits, it should be more than adequate. The pulse setting I'm using on this is 74 max, 12 base, or low end, 1.4 pulses per second at 45% duration. CFH of argon. I'm using a 3/32 tungsten. There's no filler here, so when I do use filler, I'm using a 1/16. It's often recommended to use 0.35, but I couldn't get that, so I went with the 1/16. So we have our V-bands onto our cats to the connectors with the extra bungs for the second O2 sensors, our Borla exhaust with a outlet for a 3-inch. So what we need to do is put a 3-inch on it, and we're going to put a V-band on the 3-inch as well. So what I did was, since this was factory cut and had a square end, I welded this on first. And now I can cut this, and even if it's not perfectly square, it's not going to matter because it's going to slide inside the muffler. To weld this, I didn't use pulse. I welded straight at 74 amps with a 1/16 rod. This is 304 and 304. And I was using the ER309L. 3-inch pipe inside of the end, or what will be the outlet of the Borla, and I TIG welded that. I tried pulse, but it wasn't working very well, so I went back to just straight, and as long as I move fast with the straight weld, it seems to be okay. Part of the problem here, I made a couple botches, but it's because I didn't have a good way to hold this, and it fell over. It was moving on me. I was trying to hold it, and I was tweaking my neck, so that was bad. But I have the end. One end is V-band, then the muffler, then the connectors for O2 sensors, the out one, the seconds, then the catalytic converters, the O2 first sensors, and then the V-bands where it connects to the downpipes. Rear half, 2-inch duals coming into cat converters, those going into a Borla, and coming out of the Borla in a 3-inch single outlet.